On this episode of 10-8, St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office Major Michael Monahan will join us in the studio to discuss the agency's readiness when dealing with critical incidents. And we'll hit the streets with members of a Special Investigations Unit as they work with Fort Pierce Police to clean up a neighborhood known for drug sales. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
Welcome to 10-8, your inside view into the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office. I'm your host, Sergeant Chris Ciccio. Today we're meeting with Major Mike Monahan. He's the Director of Law Enforcement for the Sheriff's Office. Major, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Chris.
You've been in law enforcement for about 36 years, I think is what we talked about a few minutes ago.
That is correct.
And I'm sure you've seen quite a few things change in your time here. Tell us a little bit about some of the changes that you've seen over the 36 years you've been with the agency.
Well, I'm in an unusual situation. All of my 36 years are with one agency. When I started, we had about 60 employees. Today we have roughly 640. The jail held about 150 people. Today we hold about 12 or 1,300 on average. We had typewriters, manual typewriters in those days. Today we have lots and lots of technology, wonderful technology that things have improved and made much better for everybody.
Very good. Now, currently your assignment is the Director of Law Enforcement. And as such, can you tell us what your responsibilities are right now in your position?
I oversee all law enforcement functions for the sheriff. That includes patrol, criminal investigations, special investigations, which is our drug unit. Support functions like the bomb team, SWAT team, dive team, the reserve unit. Pretty much anything that is law enforcement related.
Mm-hmm. Now, what are some of the difficulties that you face managing such a diverse group? You say that you manage patrol, criminal investigations, special investigations. I'm sure there are some complexities in managing all of that at one time. You have support staff that help you in the day-to-day operations with that?
Yeah, each of those functions has a manager or that's a supervisor that's in charge of that function. They report back to me. Several of the functions actually are not specific assigned. Those people come in with other responsibilities and fill into those positions, like the bomb team, the SWAT team. Those guys all have other assignments. Those are not full-time positions. In an activation or training exercise, it requires them to be pulled from their essential duty, and that requires backfilling that position or trying to figure out staffing levels, that kind of thing.
Okay. Now, moving into emergency management, that's one of the additional responsibilities that you have here in the Sheriff's Office, being able to manage and coordinate all of the Sheriff's assets in a critical disaster. Tell us a little bit about that and your role in emergency management within the Sheriff's Office.
Well, we have a great team. We've put together a wonderful team that each of them knows their responsibility. We start, of course, with the sheriff giving clear direction. Then it moves down. We work in the process of incident command where everybody's in charge of a certain function. We move through the event, whatever it might be, like a hurricane or a other type of emergency management system. We, of course, get the direction that we're going. We have set meetings with those supervisors of the immediate function we need, and they go back out and get it going. The thing that there is to manage is, of course, the immediate event, but then in a hurricane situation, per se, we have to deal with the employees' families. We have to keep them going. We have to deal with feeding employees, making sure their homes are okay so they can manage to keep going and keep working for us. Then we move out into the real world, where we're dealing with the issues of the community and trying to keep the community safe. You know, that's our first function, is life safety. So we have a system in place where we break the county down in different quadrants and start minimalizing the size of the issue and work directly into whatever the issue is and contain it.
It sounds like a lot of work going on at one time.
It's a lot of work.
Now, you had mentioned the hurricanes. We're going back to 2004, 2005 timeframe, and you were, kind of the manager for the Sheriff's Office for the response in those. What was life like at the time in 2004 during the hurricanes, when essentially, the county was locked down?
Life was pretty hectic during that time period. We had prepared for those storms. We had policies in place, and we had kind of drilled for those. Our nuclear power plant has forced us to drill into some of those issues. over the years. So we were kind of prepared for it. I don't know that we were absolutely prepared initially for the magnitude of the storms, quite honestly. But we picked up and gathered ourselves together real quick. We had power out in the county in some places for over a month. So we had to deal with those issues. We had a lot of significant damage in a lot of the mobile home parks. And we had to get in and secure those places to make certain we didn't have looters. We had flooding, we had electric lines down, we had a lot of issues to deal with. We had to secure the beaches. There were bridges washed out, power lines down. So we actually closed off the beaches and manned those like a gated community, if you will. We have to manage all of those events as things are ongoing and unfolding.
And you had also mentioned before that you're also working to take care of the sheriff's deputies and their families. I'm sure to try to create a surge of law enforcement personnel to go out into the community. There's a lot that needs to be taken care of on the personal end. So with that said, is there pre-planning that takes place well before the storm to let the personnel know that get ready, this is coming, so that they can get their own personal affairs in order before coming to work?
Yeah, what happens is we start meeting with the emergency management people probably about a week or 10 days when they see a storm is really brewing. We start getting direction about how bad the storm's going to be or what the weather company thinks it's going to be. Then we start meeting with employees, and we have a set series in our operational plan at the different stages of things that they're required to do. Start moving in that direction, and then a couple of days out, we tell them immediately, go take care of your families. Get the things that you need to get done because you're not going to be home there with them. And it's difficult for some of them, quite honestly, particularly if they start having damage to their homes.
Right. Now, as we wrap up this portion of the program, now once the deputies have to be deployed at the end of the hurricane, once the winds die down, you know, what steps do we take to take care of their families at that point, or is that pretty much left to them individually?
Well, we always try to give them an opportunity to get by their home if they haven't been able to talk to their family. See what damage or situation they have. If it's a horrendous situation, we let them go. We let them take care of their issue. But we have a team inside the office. We have a group of community volunteers that will go help and, say, rebuild your home or at least secure your home. So you get a comfort level that you can get back on the street.
Wow, very good. Sounds complex. When we return, we will continue speaking with Major Mike Monahan and his duties as the Emergency Manager and Director of Law Enforcement for the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office. Don't go away.
The scenario was at a school campus with people coming in and shooting and trying to grab hostages and that kind of thing. And it tested the response of all the agencies.
Welcome back to 10-8. We've been speaking with Major Mike Monahan. Again, he's the Director of Law Enforcement for the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office. And Major, before the break, you had mentioned about the nuclear power plant, some of our involvement with the power plant, and that kind of brings a unique, complex problem to St. Lucie County, being that we're one of 3 power plants in the state. Tell us about your relationship with the power plant and what we do to support them and what they do to support us.
We have a great relationship with them. It's been established ever since the plant's been there. You know, there are certain guidelines by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission and the Federal Emergency Management Agency that they're training certain things that have to go on there, certain requirements. So we're in direct contact with the emergency planners there, the manager of the site security. We have done drills inside the plant, actually like an active shooter inside the plant. We've done bomb team drills in there. Our K-9 has drilled in there. Our SWAT team's drilled in there. We have a very active level of participation with them. Once every year there is a county-wide drill that all agencies participate in, all the way, everybody that's in the Emergency Operations Center, all 17 emergency support functions participate in that drill. One year it's evaluated by FEMA, and the next year it is not evaluated. It's an exercise. Those function very well.
Very good. So FEMA evaluates one year, the next year we do it as an exercise and evaluate ourselves to prepare for the next.
Correct. And while we're doing that, FP&L is actually in their emergency support function and in their support bunker, and they're going through the exercise as well.
Oh, very good. So multiple things happening at one time.
You know, you're exercising basically the emergency management system, FP&L's emergency management system, and our dispatch system at the same time. Now,
recently we had participated in a large-scale Homeland Security exercise. probably similar to what you have talked about with the power plant. Tell us a little bit about how that came about. I understand it was the first of its kind for St. Lucie County.
It was. There was a Homeland Security grant for domestic terrorism related. Actually, members of every agency in the county, the law enforcement agencies, and the response agencies met for over a year and planned that event. It was very extensive, and it ended up being the scenario was at a school campus with people coming in and shooting and trying to grab hostages and that kind of thing. And it tested the response of all the agencies. The school, there was an initial response by our agency, as we are the first responder to the public schools. It reached the level that we needed the support of the other agencies, Fort Pierce Police Department and Port St. Lucie Police Department. They came. And it was an active shooter situation on the school campus. Required activation of the SWAT team, the bomb team, hostage negotiations. So it tested pretty much every facet of the agency. Patrol response, specialty team responses, command level. And it expanded beyond the school. It moved it to Lawnwood Hospital with an event that occurred inside the emergency room there. It required Fort Pierce to respond to that and their SWAT team. And then because of the simulated surge of patients coming to the hospital, it also included the Port St. Lucie Hospital, which required Port St. Lucie Police Department to have to respond to that. So it brought in literally every response agency that you could have in the county and brought in the hospitals to make everybody work together and coordinate their response. And of course, all of that is done under the auspices of Incident Command. So we have to go through many of those procedures and break that out into an ever-expanding event.
So essentially we had terrorists storm Fort Pierce Central Campus, which initiated the response from the law enforcement community, which spilled over into Lawnwood Hospital, caused another response. That spilled over to Port St. Lucie Hospital, which caused another response. So multiple responses in different areas of the county. That's correct.
The required response of law enforcement in each of those and fire rescue in each of those. Then it became, as intelligence had to go out, you involve intelligence officers. Emergency management, you had to start standing up the Emergency Operations Center. It reached a point that you probably were on the edge of calling in outside resources from other counties, that type of thing.
Wow. Sounds very complex.
It was a very, very well put together drill. There were shots fired on the school campus, simulated shots fired on the school campus, and actually simulated shots fired inside the hospital. So it made it very real, very lifelike, and it was good not only for the responders, but also for the people in the hospital, in both hospitals, that they were tested on their abilities and their plans.
Right. Now, what role did you play in that exercise? Were you more of an observer, or did you actually play a role in Incident Command or something like that?
Actually, the way our response works is whoever gets there first becomes in charge, and as the higher-ranking person gets there, they take control. In a simulation event, we let that event go on probably about 20 minutes to test the response of our patrol supervisor, who did very well. And then at a certain level, I stepped in and took over as the overall incident commander. Okay. And we did that on site and managed the operation on site.
Now, roughly how many people were involved in this exercise?
I think total with active participants from patrol and the other responders, role players, people at the hospitals, I think there was approximately 200 people involved in this event.
Wow. You had, what did we learn as a result of that? I mean, with all the year of planning that you had said that had gone into this exercise, what did we get as an agency as a benefit, and what did we learn about our response capabilities as a result of the exercise?
Well, I'd say we learned initially our initial response by every responding agency was completely accurate. It was right on the money. It took us a little while to get some of our other specialty teams moving and getting them going. But our specialty teams train with the other specialty teams from the other agencies, so they were working very well together. It took a little bit on the incident command side, quite honestly, to get that going. Once it was established, everything was fine. It took a little bit to get some of those players in place.
Right.
And of course, being as it was simulated, we would have spent more time waiting on some of those things to happen.
Right.
So in a real life event, we would have had time to better plan for the things that we were requesting. In the simulation event, we had to speed through it, so we missed a few things, quite honestly.
Right. But things, now that stuff that we had missed or things that we needed to improve upon, that'll be training components for the future, I'm sure.
Absolutely. The group that put this exercise together, they have done a critique and evaluation over everything that they observed and watched, and have pointed out to each agency what their positives were and what they felt the negatives were. It's up to that agency then to take those pointers and go back and train with them. In our situation, we are prepared to do some training with all of our patrol supervisors to point out some things that go on with specialty teams that they may or may not be involved in on a daily basis or no.
Right. Good. Well, very good. Well, Major, thank you for coming on the show. It's been very informative about the role that you play in the Sheriff's Office, and it seems like a very important role. So thank you for coming here today.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
For more information about the Director of Law Enforcement, Major Mike Monahan, or any of the other command staff of the Sheriff's Office, please call us at 871-5303 or visit us at stluciesheriff.com. When we return, we will take to the streets with some of the hard-working deputies of the Sheriff's Office. Don't go away.
So he's going to have his K9 Maddie conduct a sniff around the car, see if she can alert to any illegal narcotics.
The only thing that's in there is the beer in the back. That's not open, sir.
All suspects are considered innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Viewer discretion is advised.
Well, obviously tonight's the last night of the operation. Pretty much high-intensity enforcement detail concentrated here in the city of Fort Pierce on the high-crime areas, mainly the northern end of Fort Pierce, trying to suppress some of the gang and violence that we've been seeing over the last couple of years. I think it's been pretty much a success because, as you can see, we're in week 12 of this, the last day, and we're bumping into each other now because I think we're close to 500 arrests for this, over 500 arrests for this detail, just under 50 guns seized, and so I think it's been a pretty good success.
North on
across, north, and it rolled a stop sign at 11th and D Delta. Continue north on 11th Street.
Saw a vehicle that we were waiting on come out from 11th Street, didn't make a complete stop at the stop sign.
East, so it's going east on Avenue E.
Detective Gajewski and Officer Sarmiento are conducting a traffic stop on the vehicle. We'll be getting out with them here.
How about you show me your hand again real quick?
Detective Gajewski is advising that the driver appeared to throw something out of the passenger window as he was turning the corner when they were conducting the traffic stop.
He's shaking. Have him step out.
Step out for me, sir.
Yes, sir.
Place your hands on top of the car for me. Yes, you have anything on you? Anything that's going to stick me? Any
No, ma'am.
guns, knives,
No, ma'am.
bombs, explosives?
Where are you coming from, sir?
The bar, sir. It's over there off US 1, sir.
Listen to me.
Yes, sir.
Look at me.
Yes, sir.
Before you say another word, I want you to really think about it. I'm not going to ask you a question that I don't already know the answer to.
Okay.
Open your mouth for me. Where are you coming from?
I was coming to try to buy some rock cocaine, sir.
So is that what you threw out the window?
I threw nothing out the window, sir. I promise you that, sir.
Where did you just come from?
I actually was off of US Avenue D, sir.
Okay. So what was your next stop?
My next stop was actually to go to right off US 1 before you get to South Bridge.
Where's your pipe at?
I don't have a pipe. I don't carry one with me, sir.
Carry
I've
one.
learned my lesson, sir.
Anything illegal in the car that I need to know about?
No, sir, nothing.
You mind if you take a look around?
You have probable cause?
Absolutely. I'm going to ask you now, is there anything I need to be concerned about?
There's nothing in the car, sir.
Okay. Hey, Mike, you want to do puppy?
The only thing that's in there is the beer in the back that's not open, sir.
Detective Gajewski is a drug-certified canine handler, so he's going to have his canine Maddie, conduct a sniff around the car, see if she can alert to any illegal narcotics.
I don't
didn't
have
have
listen to me.
Yes,
I don't
sir.
even have to recover it. That's third-degree felony.
Yes, sir.
You understand that, right?
Yes, sir.
You never know what you're going to find. In this case, we're looking for maybe crack cocaine, which is very small. So you got to look very careful and be meticulous on your search, because it's so small and it could be placed anywhere. 10-15.
Got it?
Yep.
Yep.
It appears to be 3 crack cocaine rocks in the ashtray.
All right, my man. You're her.
Yep.
What am I doing? What am I going to jail for?
Possession of crack cocaine.
Where?
That's not mine. I swear.
You have a card? You have a card?
Huh?
You 2 pairs or one's good?
Do you know?
There ain't no dope in that car. I don't know where you found no
I'll grab a
dope.
field test.
Yes, please.
3 crack cocaine rocks, you can see. It was in the ashtray, so there's cigarette ashes all over it, but after field test with cobalt, it turned blue. That's means a field test positive for cocaine.
Right
Listen
here.
to me. Do you have anything on you?
No, I don't. I swear to God. I have nothing on me.
Where's the rocks that you had?
He had them all. I swear to God. I told you I didn't go nowhere near there.
If you go to jail with them, it's a felony. You won't
I know,
be able
I
to get out
swear.
of jail.
Sweetheart, I swear I have nothing. I told you everything. I didn't go nowhere near
How
the
many
door.
rocks did you guys buy total?
He bought 30.
30?
30 rocks?
He bought $30 worth of rock. I
Oh.
swear to God.
During our search, we were able to locate 3 crack cocaine rocks in the ashtray of the vehicle. And post Miranda statement, both subjects admitted that they came to Fort Pierce tonight to purchase cocaine, and both have had long-term cocaine habits.
Yeah, they're going back and forth on who actually purchased the cocaine. She's claiming that he bought $30 worth of crack cocaine, and she's not owning up to any of it.
So both were being charged with possession of crack cocaine, and they're both to be heading to jail here momentarily.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of 10-8. On behalf of Sheriff Ken Mascara and the many dedicated men and women serving you through the Sheriff's Office, thank you for watching. Until next time, stay safe.